Development Corporation. I am our Business Retention and Expansion Coordinator, and I am just part of the very large team of people that help to put together Founders Blend each month. How many of you, this is your first Founders Blend? Raise your hand. Oh wow, we've got quite a few new people. Well, welcome. A little background on Founders Blend. It's something that started in the spring of 2023. And I meet with local businesses each month, and something that I kept hearing from business owners was it's really hard to run a business. And I just kept hearing that over and over again. And it's kind of isolating to run a business because you don't necessarily have other people that understand exactly what it's like running that business. You know, they're your employees or their family or all of those things. And so we heard a lot of need for finding other business owners to connect with and find fellowship with. And honestly, sometimes just hear, oh wait, you're having a hard time with that workforce issue? Me too, or how are you handling that? Or I don't know anything about marketing. How did you outsource that? I mean, the basic things like that. And so that is why we started Founders Blend, and we rotate our locations as a means to reach different parts of the community. So we're at Midland College this month, and then next month we will be at Second Story Coworking downtown, and then we'll rotate to UT Permian Basin at the Seed Center, which is the west side. And that's just a way that we can connect all parts of Midland and get into different routines and commutes for people. And then Founders Blend, like I said, it's a thing that was created because of a lot of different entities and groups. So Midland Development Corporation, Second Story Coworking, BAM Consulting, UT Permian Basin, the Midland Chamber of Commerce, Film Hunter Media, which you'll see behind us here, and Answers Marketing. All of these community partners came together to start Founders Blend. And so we will highlight two businesses this morning. They will share a short and sweet little presentation with background on their company. And then a majority of the time is going to be a Q&A with the audience. So if there's anything that comes up during that presentation where you're like, oh, I want to ask more about that, well, you are in luck. And if you're one of those people that's a little nervous to raise your hand and ask the question, well, don't worry. You can text a phone number here. That is my phone number. If you text that phone number, you can text me your questions, and I can try to select some of them while we're asking those business owners questions. So before we get started here, how many of you are drinking that coffee or eating those jump burritos? Well, Scooters donated those coffees for us. And Jump Burrito was provided by Midland College. So something you've noticed, Founders Blend is free, and it's free every single month, thanks to local donors like that stepping up and providing supplies. So if that is sounding like it's piquing your interest, and hey, I really like this, I want to support this, well, don't worry, you can reach out to us, and we are always looking for donors to help with future meetings. Okay, well, without further ado, I'm going to give you some background on our first business that we're going to hear from. Let me get to my notes here. You're going to, like I said, hear from two businesses, and the first one is going to be BP Supply Incorporated. It's a company based in West Texas, specializing in sales and servicing of oil field downhole rod pumps, provision of oil field parts, and offering services for oil field measurement solutions. BP has been a family-owned and operated company since 1983. Now it is in its third generation of leadership. BP believes in being authentic, gritty, humbly confident, and people-focused because they believe operating in this way is best, not only for their business, but for our entire West Texas community. Without further ado, BP Supply.
Thank you for that, Sammy. It's good to be here. Like she said, I'm Chris Parnell. I'm the current CEO of BP Supply. We're a family-owned oil and gas business. Been in business since 1983. And they already started the timer on me, so I've got to get 41 years of business history down under 5 minutes. So we'll go ahead and get started to buckle up for this. Our story begins. So there on the left is a picture of my grandfather, Bill Parnell. He started the company in 1983. Cashed out his entire life savings of $20,000, moved to Andrews, Texas with a hope and a dream. He rented out a back shop space in someone else's warehouse and started repairing downhole rod pumps in the floor with borrowed tools from friends. Fast forward 41 years later, at 83 years old, he still comes to the office every single day to chat and to check up on us. Make sure we're doing our job. Pictured in the middle is my father, Rick Parnell. He started to work with the company in '83 as well. And then in 2002, he took over leadership of the company that really sparked a period of a lot of growth for us. And then there's me. I didn't get the height gene from them. I got the short stick. But you can imagine growing up in a family business, I spent a lot of time at what we call the shop. Sweeping floors, washing pump parts, stocking inventory. So I learned the ropes very early on. Officially on paper, I started in 2004, which just meant they had to start paying me for being there. Went on, got my undergraduate degree, and then later on my MBA, and then started leading the company in 2012. So, kind of just what we do. Like we mentioned, we started out building downhole rod pumps. We still do that to this day. If you don't know what a rod pump is, every well that you see that has a pump jack, at the bottom of it has a rod pump that's lifting the fluid to the surface. And we expanded later into oil field production supplies, things like pipe, valves, fittings, things of that nature. And then later on in 2009, we opened our liquid and gas measurement division that focuses on calibrating and servicing liquid and gas flow meters. So, surviving the challenges. As you can imagine, being a company in the oil and gas business, or I guess as layman would say, the patch. We've experienced our fair share of booms and busts. 1986, 1998, which we came dangerously close to closing the doors on. 2008, 2009, 16, 17, and then the global pandemic of 2020. So we've learned a lot of lessons throughout the time period, often the hard way, but through a high level of grit, determination, we've been able to thrive and survive all those hard times and really grow. For example, if you go back to the year 2000, we're in one city, one location, have about 5 employees, 2 million in revenue. Fast forward today, we're in 4 different cities in the Permian. We have 115 employees and over 50 million in revenue. So we've been very blessed to survive all those challenges. But through that, we've kind of settled on 4 different things that have kind of been key to our success. And the first of those is know your numbers. Know the metrics that drive success within your industry, within your business. Know what they've been historically, know what they are currently, but more importantly, know where they're trending. Numbers take a lot of the emotions out of decisions, so it helps you make better, informed choices moving forward. So know those numbers like the back of your hand. Avoid stepping on banana peels. You've seen the Mario Kart. You throw the banana peel out and you spin out. One of the keys to surviving a business long term is not spinning out too many times. And the way to do that is things like this right here. Attending events, reading good books, having great mentors. A lot of people will tell you that take risks, learn from your failures, and that's absolutely 100% true. But you don't always have to learn the hard way. You can learn from other people's mistakes and make your road a little bit easier. No sacred cows. This one's a big one in our company. So never be too ingrained on any one idea or process that it can't be challenged. Because sometimes the services, products, strategy that got you to the level that you're currently at may not be the same strategy that gets you to the next level. So always be okay with challenging and rethinking everything. And then finally, build a great team. The African proverb is true in business. If you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. And so you've got to be really good at building a great team. Hire people that are really great at what you're not naturally good at. But build a company and a culture where great people are attracted to you. And that's a good way to continue long-term success. And then finally, and the most important thing is always stick to your values, no matter what. So no matter the challenges, we've always committed to having an unwavering commitment to doing the right thing, whether that's for our customers or for our employees, or for our communities. So that's 41 years in 5 minutes.
Well, that's impressive that you fit it all together there in less than 5 minutes. That was really great. Well, you are one of our first companies, which also, you guys, look at his socks right now. I really love wearing the BP logo. Smart.
I've got a great team.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you are probably one of the first companies that we've had that is third generation. What is it like being the third generation leader of BP Supply?
Yeah, well, it's rainbows and unicorns all the
Yeah,
time.
that's what I imagined, yeah.
So obviously it comes with the challenges that you would think, but if everyone involved brings a high level of intentionality and understands that when we're between these doors, this is work, and we're here all trying to go in the same direction and have the same mission, the same goal, then it works. But you do have to try to turn that switch off when you go home, sit around the Thanksgiving table, and you're just family then.
And I bet turning off that switch is easier at times than at other times.
Yeah. It's easier when things are going great and pretty hard when things are bad. But it can be done.
And then something else that stuck out, I mean, there are quite a few times in the oil and gas industry where you have had to figure things out the hard way. What kept you going? Especially, I mean, you touched on in the 90s, that was a tricky one. That was a close call. And those were probably very formative years for you. Even though you weren't running the business, you were a teenager. And what kept the family going?
Yeah, so during some of those early hard periods, it was really my grandfather that failure was not an option for him. And it didn't matter how hard or how long it took or how many hours we had to put in and how much sacrifice we had to do, we were not going to fail. So and that's part of what's ingrained in our culture now is that grit. And it's passion and perseverance over a long period of time. And that really came from him, which is what got us through those times.
And I loved what you said, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, through all of those years, through 41 years, you go together. And that's a testament to how the company has been run. And then could you speak more on the team building aspect? I mean, going far, how exactly do you create that culture and, just create a good gel and mix of people and employees so that you can accomplish goals and make certain profits and things like that?
Yeah. Your people have to know that they can trust you. So you have to build a high level of trust. They've got to know that you have their back, that you're people focused. And the only way to do that is to live out what you say. If your actions over time demonstrate that the values you say are true and they're not just some catchy phrase, then your culture naturally kind of evolves into that. And you have that high level of trust. And that's how you build a great team.
And I feel like finding employees where you recognize, hey, I'm not good at this, but you seem to be really good at this, and kind of pouring into that. I feel like you are especially good at that, even just in our conversation that we had a few years ago, is you're aware of, okay, I'm good at this, but I'm not so good at this, so I'm going to figure out who is really good at that.
Yeah, I mean, I learned that the hard way, though. So
yeah.
I thought, I had the Superman complex early on. I'm going to spin all these plates. I'm going to be able to do all these different things, and I can handle it. And I found out real quick that I'm not very good at a lot of things. And so the best thing I could do is to find people that was their lane, that then allowed me more time to focus on the things that I was good at. I learned a lot from my wife. She's pretty blunt with me, and she was kind of the one that said, buddy, you can't do this.
She was like, the plates are falling, all of these spinning plates.
All at once.
I mean, I think you need that honesty and that mirror to show you, hey, this is something I gotta work on. And working on it is, the first step. You gotta recognize it. And then what is something I'm getting a lot of text messages about the sacred cow aspect, something that you touched on there. Is that something that was started by your father or your grandfather? And then do they understand / approve when things change as, generations take over?
Yeah, no, so that was started by me. Because, in a multi-generational company or something's been that, you hear the saying, well, that's not how we've always done it. And so it
How many people, they're like, yeah, I hear that.
Yeah, so, that was kind of happening a lot, kind of in the transition phase between kind of my father and me during that period. And so we kind of came to head and realized that, hey, this strategy was really successful. And don't diminish the fact that that strategy was really successful then. But that strategy in the current market we're in, dealing with certain people we're dealing with, is probably not the best strategy to move forward. So we have to be okay with changing it. And I think the key to that, though, is recognizing and giving credit that wasn't a bad strategy then. It's just not the right strategy now.
And I bet that comes up more often than not in just different situations.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And then you also touched on stepping on banana peels. Expand on that.
Yeah. I think sometimes, and myself included, can have a tendency of, we're just going to go super hard and we're going to risk all these things without actually kind of setting back and counting some of the costs. And I think sometimes we kind of can wear that as a badge, like we're risk takers, we're entrepreneurs, we're going to go out there and we're going to do it. And if we fail, that's okay, we're going to learn. And that is true. But I've learned that when you kind of take a pause on something, analyze the bananas on your racetrack, talk to other people that have run that same racetrack, and get some advice, you can navigate that a lot cleaner than you would if you just kind of naturally, let's go barrel through that wall.
Yeah, and I feel like that just comes with experience.
It comes from slipping on manacles.
Exactly. And learning, my back can only take so much. And then what would you say has been the latest problem? And I'm getting a lot of text messages, questions of, can you give specific examples of, you have a very large company. What would you say is the last problem you've solved as the CEO of a $15 million company?
Yeah, we're kind of in this space where our culture and our kind of family vibe to it, which is key and was key and is key to our success and our loving our people well and stuff like that, has gotten a little bit harder as we've gotten bigger. And now, there's different layers of management between kind of this and then the frontline worker. And how do we translate that same level of care down through the management chain so that, delivery driver on the first day realizes like, hey, this place is home. This is my family. This is a good place to be. That's been a challenge a little bit. And then, you take geographically, spreading it out in 4 different places throughout the Permian. Now, you have your locations a little farther out that feel maybe a little neglected and stuff like that. So that's been a little bit of a challenge that, we thought we could solve by doing a lot of, videos or remote type stuff. And when it really comes down to it, they just want to see your face. They just want to shake your hand. They just want to know that you're here. So that's something recently we've had to solve.
So in solving that, are you taking more leadership courses, management courses, or just dedicating more time to go out there and develop those relationships with everyone down the food chain, so to speak?
Yeah, so a little of both. It's a lot of just training that next layer of leadership and that next layer of next generation of leadership that says, hey, look, all these values that you've seen demonstrated, now it's your job to go out and demonstrate those to your team. It's your job to love those people well. But then too, really kind of looking at what I do throughout the day, what can be done better by someone else that then can free me up to just go have face-to-face conversations.
And I mean, something that you hear time and time again in Midland in the oil and gas industry is retention of employees. And if you can have that good impression upon all of your employees from day one, that can be helpful when it comes to retention. Any other things that you've noticed as far as retaining employees that come to mind that you've seen a difference in doing something a certain way?
Yeah, they have to know they're not a number. They have to know that you do really care. And again, you can talk to your blue in the face about how much you care, but until you actually demonstrate that to them, it's just talk. So that's been the key for us to retain.
That showing that they are not a number. And that just takes being very intentional in time. I think that speaks to a lot of people. And then, how do you explain the retention aspect? And I can only imagine the conversations amongst generations. How do you explain, to your grandpa, well, grandpa, this is how you retain employees now. And I'm sure you are met with some, well, that's not how we did it, or how do you explain that?
I mean, it's funny because, they're kind of still in the mindset that offering someone a job is such a privilege, and that they have a job should be all that they need. So that's been a struggle, but they've been gracious enough to kind of understand, like, their kind of prime has passed, their time has passed, and that it's time to just kind of sit back and enjoy what they've built. So.
Yeah, I imagine that can just be made for a really interesting Thanksgiving conversation at times, I'm sure.
He still wants to try to picture in his head every employee. So, sometimes there's some one like, okay, this person.
You need flashcards
That's
or
right, yeah.
something, yeah. Well, does anyone have any questions here? Yes.
That's some questions. So 81 years is how long the business has been going?
41.
Sorry, 41 years. How did you go about modernizing y'all's order of operations? Did y'all seek outsider consults, or how did you go about it?
So kind of with each phase and each generation, it's gotten a little more modernized. But what we do that I think has helped the most is we spend Q4 of every year, which is a little bit slower time for us, really evaluating all of our processes. Are they efficient? Can they be modernized? What things in the outside environment can help that? And just really being vigilant in what other competitors are doing is how we kind of stay up with modernizing.
And can I just build on that? So do y'all go to conferences to see what other people are doing? Or have you brought in outsider eyes to help, like, hey, this is, you can have some back, or do y'all keep it internal?
Yeah, so we go to conferences. We have not brought anyone from the outside in, really, but what we do is we bring in a lot of our team from different layers and different aspects, and they're always very about, we did this at where the previous company and stuff like that, because our business is very nuanced. But yeah, bringing in all the employees to get their insight has been really helpful on that.
Any other questions? Yes.
So I'm kind of curious, sort of how do you know your limits? Thinking like, I'm sure you get customers that say, well, hey, can you do this too, but we really like what you do.
Yeah. I would say the most important thing we've learned probably in the last 15 years is what to say no to. And in fact, we had another division, a services division, that we actually, it was pretty profitable. But we actually sold it off in December of last year. And the only reason was because when you say yes to everything, and that was our model for a long time, right? Anything that made $1, we're going to do it. But it distracts us from what we're really good at. And so that's a great question, and that's something important. It's hard. but everything you say yes to takes away from something else. So you have to count the cost.
Have to learn to say no. Yeah, that was well said. And John, you had a question?
Yes, hi. When you took over in 2012, obviously the technology's changed a lot since that time. Have you had opportunities to integrate new technologies over the last 10 or 12 years that have helped you to grow to that 150 million?
Yeah. A lot of what's helped us is like data analytics. Being able to have quicker, faster data analytics. We're, currently kind of working with how does AI fit into our business? Where can it be used? Where it's downfalls, things of that nature. But yeah, analytics has been big for us.
And then as far as the future, what do you have in store over the next 5 years? What is something that you want to get better at?
Yeah. A lot of things. But as we continue to grow, what I want to get better at is not being, I don't want to be Mickey Mouse, like Mickey Mouse gets run over, Disney shuts down. And so having a leadership team that does the job better than I can do it, that's my ultimate goal, because if I can step back and the company runs smoother and faster and more profitable than would be there, then I feel like I've accomplished something. So my goal is to work myself out of the job.
Yeah. Well, do you have any kids, lined up here for this fourth generation?
Yeah. Well, they're kind of young, and it's, we'll see.
Well, you gotta start them on, mopping the floors and all that, yeah.
They know how to run a broom.
Well, that is great. And then something just real fast here before we close out. You've been great. I meet with quite a few businesses, and in the oil field, they aren't necessarily great about telling their story. And something that I feel like you guys have invested in is that marketing, telling your story aspect. And I think people buy into, oh, it's a third generation, they've been here a while, they are West Texans through and through. How has that helped your business?
Yeah, a whole lot. And that was something we were not very good at, and understanding, like, we actually had other people tell us, hey, your story is impactful. But to us, it was like, it's not that cool. We're really not that great. But they really encouraged us, hey, tell your story because you'll connect with a lot of people. So that has helped tremendously, mostly on to attracting good employees to our team. So definitely happy that we brought on a great marketing.
Well, I'm glad to see that has paid off. And I love that it's not about getting more business. It's about retaining the employees that you have, which in turn does help grow your business.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, thank you so much. We really appreciate your time. Let's give it. I have to give a warning, don't put that mug in the dishwasher. It is from discountmugs.com, which it will melt off, come to find out. But hey, if you are interested in donating some new mugs that are dishwasher safe, well, you know who to talk to. All right, our next business here, we're going to totally shift gears outside of oil and gas and learn about Marty G's Cajun Eats. So what started as a desire and passion for cooking, father and son, Marty and Justin Goudreau, started the local favorite Marty G's Cajun Eats food truck back in January 2021. Now they have brought their Cajun culinary experience to a brick and mortar restaurant called Marty G's Cajun Restaurant, Midland's first authentic, real Cajun-owned restaurant. Both have relocated to Midland, Texas from deep South Louisiana and have years of experience in cooking and sharing their experience with friends and family. Their goal is to provide this area with a true Cajun cuisine that is not found anywhere else in West Texas. Without further ado, Marty.
Thank you, Ms. Amy. Appreciate you. Put my Raging Cajun cup right there. First, let me see a show of hands of who likes Cajun food. Good. I want to take a challenge. Who doesn't like Cajun food? Okay, I challenge you to come to the restaurant. Okay? Hi, again, I'm Marty Gotros, pronounced cultural. Yeah, I'm kin to the Sibyl, Boudreaux, Cobos, and all them other O's back in Louisiana. We all kin. We are the true Cajuns. Back in 2017, I was working for the oil field, but Cameron Slumberjay Company. They relocated me here in 17. The way we got started, our whole business concept, you might call it, I kind of don't like the word concept. We use the word passion and drive, passion and desire instead. And that's what the restaurant is. It's a culmination of various stages of where we come from. In 2017, I moved here. In 2018, I'm watching the news one night, and the athletic newscaster came on and started talking about UTBB and started talking about athletic director Scott Farmer. Scott Farmer was a good friend of mine, which was the athletic director back in Louisiana for the UL, the University of Louisiana. And I used to belong to the tailgating group over there, which we were huge. We were like 30 members. We were beating 500-600 people every game. Scott was a good friend of mine, so when I saw this on the news over here, I contacted him. We met the next day. First thing he asked me, Marty, please bring the tailgating party over here. UTBB needed help with tailgating and getting people involved. So, being a Cajun like I am and making friends like I do, I gathered a bunch of other Louisiana people that were stationed over here now, working here now, and we started what's called the Crew of Permian Cajuns. We started tailgating for the UTBB. When we first started, we had one guy bought tables, another guy bought games, another guy bought trash cans. We kind of all pitched in. And we started setting up at the regular stadium. There was only us and the alumni group tailgating. The news, the TV station got a hold of us, came and interviewed us. A couple games later, we started getting more and more people. We started buying more and more stuff. One of the things that we needed first was a trailer, because we were putting everything behind 4 pickup trucks every morning, every Saturday morning. We would put tables, chairs, games, tents behind 4 pickup trucks, take them to Rattler Stadium, unload them, shut them up, tear them down, bring them back and do that. So I decided to get us a trailer. We customized the inside of the trailer to be able to hold the racks and everything else. We started tailgating, we started feeding people. Naturally, everybody loved Cajun food. They loved coming to our games and stuff. When the TV station came in, it really broadened the attendance of people coming into us. Well, at the same time, it also gave other people ideas to come and tailgate too. So other companies started coming to tailgate, other people started coming to tailgate. By that time, I had companies calling me to sponsor our tailgating events. Because up until about mid-season, late mid-season, we were paying for all the food, we were paying for all the ingredients ourselves, out of our pockets. I started selling sponsorships to companies, to different companies, all companies, you know. And what I would do is I would allow them to set up their banners and their handouts and their propaganda to give out to their customers, let them bring their customers to the event. It was kind of a sales gimmick for them to be able to bring some of their customers somewhere. And yet I would let them put their banners and whatnot out. So I sold numerous, I sold for 2 years, sponsorships where we didn't have to pay for any of the games to go tailgate. I always had a company to sponsor it. Well, other people seen it, people started talking, Marty, why you don't start a food truck? We want your food more than just on Saturday morning when there's a football game. Pandemic came in. When the pandemic came in, I talked to my son. I talked to my son back home. He had been traveling around the United States with his job, and he was also in college back in Louisiana. But prior to that, he worked at some of the country clubs in the kitchens, and as chef and stuff in the kitchen of the country clubs back in Louisiana and a few other places. But he's always had an ambition for a food truck. So you can imagine what happened. When I talked to him and I said, man, why don't you move over here and start a food truck? He said, that's what he wanted. So it's kind of like a combination of our two minds together that really got the food truck idea off the road, off the paper and get it going. I went back home, meet with him. We developed a business plan. First thing we did was develop a business plan. Now, some people would say, really, my father and son's gonna talk about starting a business over a business plan in a hotel room in Yardley? That's exactly what we did, because I wanted a structure. We didn't want this to be just a fly-by-night idea or a thought that we had or just a wild idea we had. We wanted it structured because we wanted it to work. We were determined to make a food truck business work. In that business plan, we also had said, after so much time in the business and the business is progressive, we want to start a catering service. That time came, we did. We started a catering service. Next step was the restaurant. In the original business plan, when I went to be here in Louisiana, we were talking about starting all this, we had it in our plan that within 3 years, we want to see about a restaurant, brick and mortar. Well, back to the tailgating days again. By me selling sponsorships to the tailgates, to pay for the tailgates and stuff, that kind of gave us some of the funding we needed to get the next step, which was catering. People started asking us to do birthday parties, weddings. Some of the oil companies started asking for us to go to rigs, cooking at the rig sites, feeding the rig hands and stuff. Just this past Thanksgiving, last week, I went and feed 5 different rigs, Thanksgiving meal. I did 17 turkeys but to back all that up back into the TV, that's where it starts. One thing leads to another, one thing starts to the next. And that's how we developed our funding strategy. After the catering got off and running, food truck was already running. You see on there where I said gain exposure? During COVID, we started the food truck back in 2021, right out of the pandemic. Still nothing going on in town. A lot of, in our business, and I say in any business, my number one, coming from the oil field and sales with the oil field, I learned a very valuable lesson. The number one thing you need is exposure. If people don't know your word, that word, your name, the product, you can talk your head off. It's exposure. So for us to gain exposure, I started booking events all around town for the food truck. I would even take the food truck and just ride around town so people could see the logo, just to see the logo. You have to get exposure. You need to get people to know you, just like people know the word Colgate or Coca-Cola. That's all common names. That's where I wanted us to be at. That's where we wanted it to be a common name. Hence, when we were first starting the business off in the business plan, I kind of wanted to call our business something else pertaining to Cajun. My son said no, he wanted Marty cheese because of me, and it's a simple name, Marty cheese. Back home, there's a restaurant called Charlie Cheese that's famous. Everybody knows Charlie Cheese. There's a big long word behind it, but everybody knows Charlie Cheese. That's why we come up with the name Marty Cheese. Easy to say, easy to remember. So anyway, back to the gaining exposure. Starting that business off right after the pandemic was rough on us because of the fact that wasn't very much going on around town, very many events or anything going on around town for us to get a book. So we signed up with a group off of Wall Street out there that was called Food Truck Alley. Started off where a bunch of food trucks were. We parked there for a while. Then we wanted to move into a different location further north up here. All the while we were sitting in that food truck praying and we were getting some business. Some days we would, some days we wouldn't. But at the same time, exposure again. That trailer was out there, that logo was out there. People was able to see us and get an idea of us. You might not be hungry right now, but it might be hungry tomorrow or later on. Come back and see us. So as the pandemic started leaving, more and more community events started coming up in town. Naturally, we got called to all of them. We did all the concerts at the Horseshoe Arena. We did events downtown. Everywhere there was a major event, that's where we went. Each time we did that, we gained one new face at that window, at that service window. That one new face became a regular customer for us. We didn't treat it as though it's just another guy that wants some food and balls and here to put in balls go. We made friends with him. We talked to him. That's a true Cajun culture. We made an experience for him. That was always our goal too, is Whether you come to the food truck, or one of our catering events, or the restaurant, you're gonna get an experience, not just the food. We want you to know us and feel with us, because that's the true Cajun culture. That's where we come from. Our doors are always open. The first thing we're gonna do is feed you. Then we're gonna make friends. So with the community events, that's what we started doing. At the same time we were growing, we were getting these catering jobs where people were calling us to various caterings. Staffing became a big issue, Mainly because there isn't that many Cajuns around here to hire to come work in the food truck that knows our products, that knows our food and stuff. We did some training, we brought in some people, did some training with them. They understood it. Some worked out, some didn't. The main thing I was looking for is the passion. They have to have, they're gonna work with us and come support us and work with us. We want people with passion. We wanted people with passion. We've been finding them. We found them. Next thing we decided was the restaurant. My number one scare of the restaurant, of starting any restaurant, my number one scare was staffing issues. I knew we had the customers because we had them from the tailgating. We had the customers from the food truck. We had the customers from the catering business we were doing. All the events, we had our clientele built, but we did it in steps to get that clientele. Some businesses open up with a hope and a prayer that somebody's gonna know them and come in and try to do it. We built the business up in steps through the years. At the same time we were building the business up, we were building the finances up to get to the next stage. Remember I told you we sold sponsorships in the catering business? We had some money left over from the sponsorships. That's what helped us buy the first food truck, the food trailer. That business started doing good. We started getting catering business. Off of the food truck, that helped us buy more catering equipment. Now we have the big tenants. We have the tables and chairs, the fancy tablecloth, decoration, cheap dishes. We do the whole 9 yards. That other trailer actually has a TV on the outside that we can do games and stuff. If somebody wants to make it a party or make it an event, we have games and stuff. We have all the games. But the triumph about all this, like I'm talking about, the triumph is one step led to another. We didn't just jump into the brick and mortar right away and say, I'm pouring everything into it and hope it works. We never really used the word hope. We knew it was going to work. We know it was going to work. That's why we moved at. Because we completed the steps that we needed. And the steps are starting small, starting with an idea, a passion, a desire. And that's what we have, not just a concept. We have a passion and a desire. Our desire as the true Cajuns are to make friends, to feed people, to make people happy. We want to show our culture. That's what we are, and that's what we do. You step into a restaurant, you're going to feel it. You're going to feel that happy culture, that happy experience. I hope if you don't, let me know. So back to the hurdles. One of our biggest hurdles that we face, and it's still being in the works now, being that we just opened a restaurant this past February, beginning of February, January, beginning of January. One of our biggest hurdles is logistics and product acquisitions. Most of our product that we've used since the food truck issue, since the tailgate days, most of my products have been authentic. We get them in from Louisiana. Get a lot of stuff transported from Louisiana, either by friends or pay somebody or whatever. That's some of our biggest hurdles. We finally getting over that hurdle now, because now we have vendors, suppliers like Mr. Robert up here, and a few others that are willing to help us get us where we need to be at as far as supplies, and help us with getting it here. We do the boudin products, we do the sausages come from Louisiana, all the crawfish products come from Louisiana, various other things come from Louisiana. Naturally, we buy here too. We support local economy too with some of the basic stuff, some of the produce and other stuff. We support local too, but to get the true Louisiana concept and true Louisiana taste that we talk about and that we push, we use Louisiana products. So nobody can come to us and say, y'all are fake. You're not using the real stuff. No, we are. And I got invoices to prove. So anyway, that was one of our biggest hurdles. On on the Louisiana product, just like the boudin balls and the egg rolls and the boudin links, we were selling at the food truck. We were selling about 200 boudin balls and egg rolls a month at the food truck. When we started the restaurant, we're doing over 400 a week of each now. So you can imagine what it did to my buddy back home that makes all that stuff for me. He gave me a call, he said, "Are you nuts? No, we're gonna do this. What do we need to do to figure it out? How can we get this, how can we beef up production?" Went back home, met with him, talked to his people. They were all excited, they were all good, we come up with a concept and plan for him to be able to start producing more. It was a stepping stone for them to get it to where we need the level of production, but they did it. Sawballs, the sausages and all, they were already a huge corporation and all over the place. They served us all over, so I wasn't worried about their production. But the boudin products, we needed to. Same thing with the crawfish. Trying to get the crawfish, especially during balling season, trying to get the crawfish here was getting kind of, I'm running out of time, was getting kind of hard for us. I developed connection back home where I get them flown in now. So now we get crawfish flown in every other day, where it's going to be fresh and here. Just to end the thing, some of our expansion, our next step is expansion. We're going to go into new locations. The next restaurant we're looking for, which was our original idea, is to have a twofold restaurant. One to be for fine dining, like white tablecloth and, fine dining, date night. The other one to be on the more casual side, like we are now, on the casual side. That's our next step. That's what we're working toward now. It's going to happen. And also we're looking at doing events, hosting some events. We participated in the crawfish ball competition. I won it 2 years in a row. Go figure. We won that competition, so now we don't do it no more. But we're looking at starting other events like a gumbo competition or other kind of competition to bring those people in and stuff. So anyway, that's it. I already know time.
Marty, it seems like a restaurant owner, they know how to talk to people, and you're really good at that. I could have kept listening there.
I'm a Cajun.
Well, I loved getting to meet with your business and just hear your passion for Cajun food, and also for the Cajun culture, making sure that that is brought to West Texas. And I feel like West Texas has received that quite well, and you've been pleasantly surprised.
That's one of the first things that even I failed to say about my son being in business with me. He's handling more of the restaurant operations. I'm still doing the food truck and behind the scenes of all that admin. But we did a podcast with Bam, and that was one of the first things he said too, is the welcoming that we feel over here. That's the one thing about Midland. Midland is very perceptive of accepting new businesses to come in, or new ideas to come in. Some towns and some places, oh, that'll never work, or you don't know enough to do this or something. Here, we never face that. We've always had the camaraderie, the support of the community, and all of West Texas too. Because we do all over.
Yeah, you put some miles on that food truck of yours.
We do. We have.
And then something else, you worked at Slumber J for a few years, or for quite a while actually, and 26 years, and you started this business, and eventually it came down to, okay, well, I think I'm either going to have to leave Slumber J and maybe that stability and go out on my own. How did you make that call?
It was kind of simple because they kind of gave me the
ultimatum?
The ultimatum to do it. I was with the company for 27 years. I was in the oil field. I've been in the oil field for some years, but with that particular Cameron, I was with them for 20 plus years. When we started the food truck business at the beginning of 21, and it was kind of on the low key. Again, my son was more or less the operator. I was more or less behind the scene. I would help them on the weekends or at night or whatever when they needed help in the food truck. Word got out to the main corporation, to the main company, that I was doing that. Naturally, they made us think about it. They called me in the office. They said, look, what's this out here? You starting another business? I said, A, I got your customers coming to my food truck. I'm feeding your customers. B, I'm doing it on my own time. They kind of didn't like that there, so I said, you know what? I was 62 years old then. I had 20-something plus years with the company. I'm just going to retire and devote all my attention to working with my son. Because my main goal has always been, I've got other kids. As a parent, your number one goal is to support and to be there for your kids, to make something for your kids, to help your kids grow. That was always my goal. The others, I've helped them in other ways to help them grow. This one here, he needed me to help him start this business. It was a passion, a deep passion that Justin had to get this restaurant going and get the food business going here. And he needed help. I wasn't about to turn my back on him and say, look, you're on your own with the food truck, I gotta save it all for you. No, I put family first, and I went into the business with him and devoted all my attention. Took retirement from the all field and devoted all my attention with this. And since then, I'm happy. I am good.
And you get to spend time with family every single day, which is kind of unique that we hear from two family businesses on different ends of the spectrum there as far as food to oil field. And then what has that been like, that mentorship aspect with your son and learning to be a partner with him when there is that father-son dynamic?
That's a good synopsis if it was true, but it's not really work that way all the time. Anybody who has teenagers or older teenagers or early 20s, you know what I'm about to say. Sometimes it's very difficult to talk to your kids because at that age they know it all already. No matter how many years experience I have with something, they've got 6 months experience, they know it all. It takes a lot of compromising. Not to say just compromising, but it takes a lot of patience on my side, on the parent side. It took a lot of patience on my side to influence what I know, influence him on what I know, what I've experienced already, on a steady pace where it makes it look like he's learning it on his own. I didn't want it to be where we build a business and I just hand it off to him. He's in the learning stage, he's in the growing stage. He's learning every aspect from the economics of it, to the production of it, to the operations of it. He learned all the different stages on his own. I was there to support him, to lead him in that direction, but it wasn't I didn't say, here, this is what you need to do, go do it, and then him do it and leave it alone. I was there with him to work with him and stuff. It takes a lot of patience. It takes a lot of patience to work with your parents, to work with your kids. And it takes a lot of understanding. You know, when I was young and I was having my first child, my old grandfather told me two things. A baby is just like a cassette tape. At the time we had cassette tapes, you know what cassette tapes are? A baby's mind is just like a blank cassette tape. It has nothing on it until you put something on it. And it's up to the parent to hit the record button when it's needed, but also hit the delete button when it's needed, to make sure that that's what's right and what goes on good, the proper thing on that child's mind. With that, the second thing he told me is, kids, in the same concept, kids don't really understand anything that we're going to say if we say it in the wrong tone. It has to be in a tone, just like any mentorship that you may do to teach other people how to do this business or how to start this or how to do that. It has to be in a tone where they can accept it, understand it, and feel it. If somebody can't understand and feel what you're trying to get across to them, you're talking to a wall. It's just a writing on the wall. And that's when working with your child, working with this particular business with my son, it took a lot of patience on my side. Not to say sacrifice, but a lot of patience on my side. I have to be the parent and say, he really doesn't understand this, he really doesn't know about this. Let me just back up a little bit, instead of forcing it down his throat, let me back up a little bit and let him develop the concept himself.
And I feel like that's applied oftentimes to the employees that you retain, and the employees that you hire. Something you touched on was you were at every single interview for your employees, and it wasn't always that way, but you felt like, okay, well, we're going to find the right employees that can fit our culture. It needs to be that way. And has that paid off?
It had. Number one, we were able and fortunate to find this one girl that came in the interview with us, and she's from South Louisiana, and she actually lives about 10 miles from where I used to live at. So A+ for her, she knows the concept, she knows the passion, She knows the products. Somebody can ask her about what's in a gumbo or what's in A2P. She can spit it out. The people come in, the minute she starts talking, you hear her little Cajun accent, they're comfortable. They know they're in the true Kingdom faith, not a chain or not somebody with other people working there. She helps build it. She helps them make it build. At the same time, she's helping the other servers, the other workers, develop into that same space. She being like a mentor, but don't know it. You know what I mean? She's demonstrating of what we really are, rather than just me or Justin saying, this is what we want, this is how it's going to be. By having her on our staff with us at a level, of their working level, rather than us here and talking down. Not talking down, but talking to a different level. Her being at their level really helps that concept to build what we're looking for.
Yeah, that's well said. Well, does anyone have any questions here for Marty? Marty G, you just kind of say it all together. Yes.
I was just wondering, what's your projection for next year, 2025? Do you think it will be better or be the same?
It will. No, we're looking much better. We had a fantastic start when we first started. At the beginning of the year, we had a fantastic start. Because we had a lot of our clientele built already through the years of the food truck and the catering. So when people heard that we were finally opening a restaurant, they were excited. They were finally being able to come in. Then we had crawfish season come in, where we do ball crawfish. Like I was saying, I get the crawfish brought in from Louisiana. I was getting it trucked in, but that wasn't reliable and feasible. So I get it flown in now and it gets more fresh and more products. People were coming in for that and having a place to sit down and eat rather than just coming to the food truck, gathering their food and then leaving. They were able to sit. So it really went up. We had a slow period this past summer with the holiday and the vacations and out of school. A lot of people left town, so we kind of had a slow period. But we are very optimistic about what's going to take place next year. We know it's going to be better. We know it's going to grow. More and more people are going to find out about us. Again, it's called exposure. We just because we started the restaurant hasn't stopped the other two businesses. The food truck is still operating. The catering service is still operating. So we're still out there getting recognition, getting exposure, and telling people about, hey, we have a location now. We have a brick and mortar now. So all that with the growth that we see in the other two businesses, the food truck and catering, I see a positive growth for the restaurant, because now we made the restaurant more of a platform for the other businesses. You follow what I'm saying? Before, we were kind of spread out, working out of my apartment, storing stuff in storage buildings and stuff. Now with the restaurant, it became our foundation for all the businesses. So now the other businesses will feed with the restaurant, to offer the restaurant. So we see a very positive 2025. A, because of the exposure we're still getting. B, we're gonna, more and more people finding out about us. Economy is on the uptick. I really think that people are having more now, come next year, people are gonna have more spendable money, expendable money that they can go out and spend money on. Some are, in a restaurant business, one of the biggest things that you have to worry about is the economy. How much money does people have that's extra money for them to go out and spend in a restaurant versus cooking at home, or versus the other restaurants? Well, to take care of the other restaurant competition, we're different, we're unique. We have a unique brand, a unique type of food. There's a couple others around, but it's not true, authentic like we are. So we have a unique brand. And with the growth and the amount of people from Louisiana that are moving here, from Louisiana to work here too, and the growth in the economy, and now, I mean, look, your stock markets are growing right now. Everything is growing, so the economy is back up. When the economy comes up, more and more people come in, all fields start spending more money, other businesses start spending more money, people have more money to spend. That's what we're banking on. We're banking on the economy to grow. If it should stagnate a bit and stay steady for a bit, we still fine. We're gonna be here. We're gonna be here for Midland, you know, in the surrounding economy. We will be here. But if it grows, we're gonna grow. That's what we get into that other restaurant we were talking about, moving into a bigger restaurant where it's twofold, fine dining and casual dining. So that's our plans.
So keyword in 2025, growth.
Say it again.
Keyword for 2025,
Growth.
growth. Marty G's, that G could stand for growth, whatever.
Right, Marty growth.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Marty, we really, oh, growth, yeah. You gotta have a little bit of both, right? You gotta
I tell you what, don't
You gotta practice what you preach with that Cajun food.
don't ever eat from a Swedish chef.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Marty. Let's give him a round of applause. Thank you.